Welcome to Coming Home. Survive and thrive in homeschooling. This week, I am going to talk about the place our children take in our lives and the importance of understanding your worldview and the culture you live in. Although the example I am telling you about is from a Christian woman, the principle is the same no matter what your faith or whether you have one at all. We were at a friend's 70th birthday and saw a few folks we hadn't seen for a while. Naturally, much of the conversation was around ailments, health matters, and, oh my goodness, haven't your children grown up? I was chatting with an elderly lady about being able to look back on life knowing you'd lived as well as you could with few regrets. She went on to say she only had a few things which she'd do differently. Hoping to hear some wisdom, I asked, "Like what?" She answered, "I would have liked to do more for the Lord, but I had a family." But raising a family is doing something for the Lord. Mothering is like a career. There are few things more holy than raising children. I was genuinely surprised. "I don't think I did a very good job of it," she said, and leaning towards me in a lower voice, "None of my children are following the Lord." Was she confessing to me or hoping no one would hear? My immediate response was to say they were all adults and will make their own decisions. The conversation had moved on, but I kept returning to our brief exchange and pondering over it. I've usually got a good answer a few hours later. Here's what I would have liked to say if I had been prepared. But who is expecting an exchange like this with a measured and ready response? If you're a counsellor, a pastor, or have talked this over before, you would be ready, but not me. I'm unlikely to see her again, and even if I did, this is a belief she has and an understanding of what consists of the Lord's work. I'm unlikely to change her mind even if I do get a chance to talk to her again. So what can we learn from this mother and her regrets? I have a few things that I think are worth going over. Firstly, as homeschoolers, whether we're people of faith or not, most of us homeschooled because we believed our children were worthy of our time, even if we did consider we gave up a career for them. I'll return to this notion soon. For those who are Christian, everything we do is for God. There are no parts of our lives that aren't important to Him. Raising your children is not seen as less important as, say, teaching Sunday school, pastoral work, or being a missionary. Your family is your mission field. I'm sad for her that she felt she missed out on serving God when I think she was doing it all along for years. I'm sad if this assumption was passively absorbed by her children, and I'm sad she didn't hear someone talk about this years ago. Secondly, whether your children follow in the faith of their fathers is not a mark of whether you are a successful parent or not. There are no guarantees this will happen. There are no certainties, only probabilities. This is a difficult thing for parents with young children to accept. Many of us with adult children know the reality of this. So, a note to those who are struggling with adult children who have chosen another worldview than you: Seek out wise and experienced fellow parents who can listen. For some, counselling may be a good idea. Please note, this doesn't apply only to parents of faith with children who don't believe. It can be the other way around too. If you embarked on homeschooling with the noble goal of teaching your child how to think and not what to think, you need to accept this is one of the risks you take. Thirdly, there may be areas in your lives that mean you've fallen into the same way of thinking as my elderly companion. If you are actively seeking roles outside of the home to feel important or admired or needed, you are thinking in a similar way as her. I'm not saying to refuse all roles outside the home, only to be aware of your motivation. Your family's needs always come first. I am well aware of the dopamine hit of feeling needed or admired. There's nothing wrong with knowing appreciation, but it is a struggle to deal with natural human pride. Oh well, c'est la vie. No matter how important serving others is, or a job that takes you away from your family for too long, if it's out of balance, you need to address it. This is a lifelong challenge. I'm not here to tell you when the balance is tipped. All I can suggest is regularly audit your out-of-home commitments and make changes where you see fit. There were definitely times when I should have been better at this. Fourthly, back to mothering as a career and not a break you take from your career. Once you understand this, it sets you free from resentment and a sense of making a sacrifice, and you can focus on building your mothering career, including training and development. Reading good books, listening to podcasts such as this one, and attending seminars in person or online. All those things, usually recognized as career development, can be applied to mothering. And have you considered that meeting a friend for coffee is potentially a business meeting? This attitude is different to most other understandings of mothering in our culture, including, I'm sad to say, in the Christian church. You'll need to be strategic about the friends you make, the company you keep, and the activities you get involved in. Being in a subculture can be hard on a good day. On a bad day, it wears you down and you begin to doubt yourself. In short, take your career seriously and learn to nurture yourself at the same time. I have recommended Dr. Jordan Peterson to you before, and I do so again. I've linked a couple of excerpts from his lectures pertaining to motherhood, and there are plenty of others for you to find. In conclusion, we can learn from the elderly, and I strongly suggest you seek out chances to ask questions and to listen, even if it's not what you want to hear. Have the humility to hear the wisdom and experience of those who have had decades of life, both their successes and shortcomings. When you recognize something not fitting into the way you do life, don't assume you're right. On the other hand, think carefully to see if the culture we live in has influenced the perceived wisdom of the elderly person talking with you. I may have wished I had a better answer for her, but in hindsight, I have no business saying something which could threaten or dismantle what holds her together. It was not the right setting, and neither am I the right person to challenge her. I did respond, but I didn't imply she was wrong, only what my thoughts were. Perhaps our brief exchange will bring more opportunities for thinking it through. To come full circle, I trust to the God we both know to take care of that. If you have found this podcast helpful, please pass this around to others who will get podcasts like this coming up to them in their YouTube algorithms. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it. And can I encourage you that if you have any questions or comments about homeschooling, please let me know. I love to get new ideas and questions to think over for podcasts. That's it for me this week. I'll catch up with you next time. Bye.